Welcome to explaining every single legend and how I would buff them in Apex Legends Season 6. Of course, this video is going to be speculative and it's going to be my opinion, but I am going to take you guys through every legend in this game and what I feel like outside of all the legends and how they exist right now, what they should be getting, whether it's a buff, whether it's a nerf, say for Pathfinder, or a buff for Octane, and actually going through the thoughts of what I've written down earlier this morning as I've been thinking a lot about this, what that buff should look like. Now, if you guys have any thoughts about this, maybe a dev will see this video, and make sure to comment down in the comment section below, because you never know. I mean, your ideas might just filter into their brain, they might talk about it, it might turn into something, so make sure your voice is heard. Make sure your voices. Okay, anyways, we're gonna get into the video, but of course, leave a like if you guys are just joining me. If you're new, feel free to subscribe. I do a lot of stuff like this in Apex Legends, and I think for newer players, this will help you understand the game a little bit more heading into the new season where Steam and crossplay and all these new things are actually coming forward. Now, the first legend I want to talk about is Gibraltar. Gibraltar right here, big boy, and he's got a lot of great toys to him. He's got a gun shield that allows him to really utilize his defensive mechanics and really take a bit of damage that you would not be able to receive as any other legend, because that gun shield absorbs everything. So with that Kraber shot, if there's still one health left in the gun shield, is going to be absorbed by that, and it makes him a very threatening duelist. So if you do fight him one-on-one, he should be pretty successful if you know how to play him well. His dome protection is great. It got a little bit of a nerf. You receive 20% extra revive speed, and you also receive 15% extra heals inside of it, which, you know, allowed Gibraltar to, in my opinion, be pretty effective at helping his team. He really fills that support role really nicely. But one of the things that I'm actually interested about changing for him is maybe the gun shield. I mean, the gun shield is a little unfun, don't you think? To play against it, it feels a little dissatisfying when someone beats you due to it. It feels like a lot of your hard work for hitting your shots, which isn't guaranteed in a game like this. It's a battle royale. It's fast for me. I mean, I miss a lot of shots. When you do hit it and it goes into this gun shield, it's not fun. And I think it's one of those mechanics where, you know, you can learn to use it so well that it would be bad for a high-level player who's put a lot of time into maximizing it to not be able to take advantage of it and win duels, but it also is really unfun to play against. One of the things I would say that might help to even Gibraltar out or make him feel better as a buff for this character is really around his movement speed. I'm going to give you an example here. Look at the way I'm walking with Gibraltar, right? Look at how kind of like slow it looks and feels. And then you look at somebody like Wraith, and just look at the difference in how it feels. It feels like I'm moving so much faster, doesn't it? It's just the same thing, but these models are so much bigger, and the way they animate the arms, I feel like Gibraltar has always missed that fun factor for me. He's undoubtedly effective, but is he fun? And I feel like you need to maybe add something that would allow him to be more fun. One of the ideas I had is considering maybe adding a movement speed boost after throwing that shield, so he can get a little bit of extra speed when he throws something like that, because, you know, it is a bit of a risk reward for throwing the shield up. Now, the reward naturally is the shield, but I think that it'd be fun to give Gibraltar a little bit of, you know, a little bit more mojo when he has some of these actions that, you know, are more defensive. And I think it would be good for a casual player to jump in and play Gibraltar, because we know that he's really not one of the best legends from a casual perspective, although he dominates in competitive. So that's just one of the thoughts I've had on him. The other thought is that maybe on his ultimate defensive bombardment, you could actually add a little bit of damage onto it. I mean, that's just my thought. It doesn't really kill, you know, unless you're in such a bad spot. And yeah, that feels very rewarding, but maybe just on average, it should feel a little bit more devastating. And so maybe adding some more damage to it. I feel like him and Bangalore could receive similar treatments in that regard. So those are going to be my suggestions for Gibraltar. Let me know what you guys think about it. I just feel like he's one of those characters that, you know, I feel he could receive a few buffs or a few nerfs depending on whether you play him a lot or you die a lot to him. I'm suggesting those changes. All right, let's talk about Crypto. Crypto's another character who has more of like a surveillance aspect to him. He's got his passive, which allows his teammates to see what he sees through his drone. And he's really all about his drone and his EMP. So if you're going to buff him, those are kind of the areas you would look at. For me, Crypto is a really useful tool, but he's just kind of like on the edge of high-level play. We see a lot of teams, even TSM, utilizing him, but we don't necessarily see that transitioning into the entire lobby, really utilizing him at a consistent way in high-level play. You'll see it here and there, and a lot of times more in scrims than in real games like in ALGS or in the summer circuit for competitive play. So one thing I'd suggest is with Crypto, with his drone, when you set up this EMP, potentially allowing that EMP to truly give you 75 damage onto the shields instead of the current 50. Now, he could still take the 75 damage himself, which means more risk, more reward for the crypto player, but I also think what the point of the drone, I mean, tell me if you guys think I'm wrong. The point of the drone, when you get hit by an EMP, is to slow you and take away your shields. You know, well, since crypto's been added, there have been other things like Evo shields that have been added. And the fact that now there's 25 extra shield you could have, and his only takes away 50, you could still have 75 shield and 100 health after getting EMP. That is like having, you know, a pretty decent opportunity to win a fight, or at least get a shield cell off and be back to full purple. So for me, I would try to say, you know, let's add a little bit more risk reward to this stuff, and really allow that EMP to make a difference, you know, when you end up using, you know, crypto and finding it in that type of experience. That's just kind of my choice with it as well. But the other thing is maybe Pathfinder beacons. You can hack them. Maybe like Lifeline treatment, where, you know, Lifeline has these blue bins she can run around, and she can actually get extra supplies, and they're just normal bins on the map, but these happen to be blue, and Lifeline can access another compartment. Maybe crypto can access another surveillance beacon. Maybe 3 of the 12 that are on the map, he can go and access 3 of them and get a scan for his team. You know, I think that would be a cool way to allow crypto to be a little bit more effective, have a little bit more of a thing to do, buff him and keep him moving forward in the eyes of competitive players. That's my thought. Let me know what you guys think about that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Wraith, because she is really the legend that I think everyone is looking at being the highest play rate, being the highest win rate, being the highest encounter win rate most likely as a legend, and there's a reason for it. She has this awesome kunai, which I just got. That's not really the reason, it's just a nice little flex. But the idea is that she's just got some of the best abilities in the game. She can go into an invulnerable state. And I don't think that the change to this invulnerable state, having that really long intro into it, really made much of a difference. To be honest, I feel like, if anything, that the invulnerable state is still just as powerful, although there's a little bit of wiggle room on whether people can actually take you down. And to me, that's okay. I feel like she should have a little bit of wiggle room, but I still feel she's very much wide and beyond one of the best legends in the game. She's got low profile, which obviously makes her one of the danger, you know, because she's harder to hit and a lower hitbox. She needs this, and I think this is a good change. I wouldn't suggest really improving or reducing that. What I would suggest, because we've seen this actually already be changed, is I would suggest another change to Dimensional Rift. Now, they changed the Q to give you more time in it and more speed so that you can cover more distance, although you're more vulnerable at the front end. So you have to use it more preemptively and less reactionary. Like, someone shoots you and you try to use it, you might die there, right? But if you plan ahead, you will survive. She's a scout in their eyes and what they've been saying. So I feel like let's add that to the scout, and let's take her ultimate and let's allow her to actually use her ultimate for a lesser distance. Now, I know this sucks. It went from, I think they took 10% off the ultimate distance. What if we took another 10% off of it and really encourage this idea that you're in trouble, you maybe add a little bit of extra movement speed on the ultimate, and instead of going any farther, you go here, and you just get your team out of dodge. It's a faster experience, and it allows her to, instead of having this wide, like, okay, I could take our team from Timbuktu to Montreal, and now we can rotate the same way we would if we had a Pathfinder zipline, or if we had somebody who was truly more of a support to allow us mobility. Wraith can now just be more of like that interdimensional skirmisher, which he's supposedly supposed to be, and allow you to take shorter fights, and since she's so good as an individual, have to have a team that really allows you to take more of a support role with your other choices, like your Gibraltars, like your Pathfinders, things like that. Maybe even like your Octane jump pads. You know, we'll see. We'll talk about that. But that's just my thought on that one as well. Let me know what you guys think about it. It's an interesting change, but I feel like this would help shift her again into more of a skirmisher and less of an overall, I can do everything. I can be a great individual 1v1, and then I can also go ahead and get out of dodge free forever, and I could also then transport my team better than any other legend in the game into another location far away. You know what I mean? I feel like that is actually a good adjustment. So we'll see. We'll see. Speaking of Pathfinder, we did just talk about him. I think the changes for Pathfinder are pretty obvious. You know, when you look at Pathfinder, the big thing that shows up in your mind, probably grappling hook. Now, low profile, because he has a weird hitbox, makes sense for him. He does have one of the more oddest hitboxes in the game, and Insider Knowledge is one of those passives that really changes the way that you play. It's one of the most underutilized, most effective passives, almost kind of like Wraiths, where if you see somebody and someone's looking at you, you can tell your teammates, and you can hear yourself that someone's got a shot on you. Very underrated, very underrated. Pathfinder's probably one of the best passives in the entire game in high-level play, because in Apex Legends, when you look at the map, you actually get a chance to see, once you see the second ring, the direction the ring is moving, and it's called the ring pulling. And if the ring is pulling in a certain direction, it's usually going to keep going, and you can almost pinpoint where that circle will end once you know the Pathfinder beacon. And so high-level players use it to immediately get the beacon and then rotate right away and be in the circle where the game is most likely ending, and it makes a huge difference. And so one thing I just say is that Pathfinder and his Q, his 35-second Q, should just drop down. You know, I love the fact that they tried to balance him out. I think 15 seconds was too low, but I think 25 seconds is the right number. I think it's the right number, and I think it's one of those things where it still allows him to be effective, maybe even 30 seconds as well if you want to be more conservative, but it allows him to really be the character that he was. There's already great movement skills in the game. I don't know if taking the fun factor of Pathfinder from a casual level is the right direction to go. But again, I respect all the decisions the designers have made. I just found myself personally playing Pathfinder less this season, and I think a lot of people also found that as well. I know competitive, he's still viable, but it's just a little bit harder to have fun with him. And I think he's a character that his entire personality is all about fun. So I would much rather see him get a little bit of love on that. Or the other way you could do it is a zip line. It takes 2 minutes to charge. Let's take that down to 90 seconds. So if you do want to keep the individual skill down, because Pathfinder is more of that secondary utility now. He doesn't jump in and try to fight and then, oh god, I gotta get out. Wait, I got 20 seconds on my movement skill. You could take his team utility up and really put him in that role where Wraith used to be, and she could be more of the I can get out of any situation. Pathfinder can be the more of, well, I can get my team out of any situation, and we can rotate better than any other team, not just compete with a Wraith as well, who has a safer rotate than us. We can go farther, we can go more often, and make it a 90-second cooldown. It's one of the ways I've thought about it. Let me know what you guys think about that one. Okay. Oh, this is a big one. This is a big one, guys. Revenant. Now, Revenant is a character that people are asking for nerfs the second he got his buff. And this always upsets me, because when you have a character who sucks, who just everyone doesn't play, right? I mean, some people like him, but they're like, he's not good enough. Then he gets nerfed then he gets buffed. The second he gets buffed, you don't like him anymore? I mean, you hate him? He went from he sucks to now he's too good? That always just grinds my gears, man. I don't know. I just feel like that is such a tough stance to take when a character finally gets buffed to where they're good. So I want to see less of a nerf and more of maybe a side grade. Now, the issue with Revenant that most people complained about was the fact that he could use his ultimate from anywhere without repercussions and get back into safety, right? And then obviously push again. The distance was taken away, so you can use your ult, and until the timer runs out, go and fight somebody. And so that means even if they kill you, you're safe. And if you do it from short way around or high ground, you can go back and, like before, push them again. But if the distance is the problem and they're safe because they use the ultimate and they just go back to wherever they were, you can't push them and they've done a ton of health, why don't we do something like this? My suggestion would be, when you die in your Revenant ult, essentially you come back with 50 health, right? You come, let's just do this here. So we're gonna throw this. You come back with 50 health. Boom. See, I'm gonna die here thanks to the Arc Star. Oh my god, never mind. Hold on. I must have just stood at the wrong angle. I feel like... Alright, let's do this. Alright, so I'm gonna die here. And look, I have 50 health to my name. Now, instead of that, we could take the push of the Shadow Revenant and bring it down to 75, so that when the Shadow Revenants push as a team, oh, we're all coming with Shadow Revenants, blah, they're less oppressive. They're easier to eliminate. Utilities are more effective against them. Grenades have a better chance of killing them, or Thermites have a better chance of instantly knocking them and sending them back. Yet, when the Revenant comes back, he could still heal. He could still be at a pretty decent chance to fight. Now, you might seem like this is an overall buff to Revenant, and I think it is, but if you're looking at the scenario where people were complaining, like, okay, I could literally put my ultimate here, run all the way over here, third party some fight all the way over this way, which is the big complaint point. Like, look, okay, he third parties me, I finish him here, but then he goes all the way back there. I can't fight him, and now I'm screwed and people are shooting at me. In that scenario, you get rid of him faster, and he's honestly, I mean, you've eliminated the threat. I think the big key is trying to help eliminate the threat of a Revenant push, yet still making Revenant viable and still giving his teammates a reason to push and not feel like they're hurting themselves by pushing, which is when you had 1 health when you came back before in the Revenant ult was the big problem. So I like the change in the direction. Maybe since the push is too strong, we allow people to sacrifice the ability to push. Although this could come with its own string of issues, this is kind of the idea I would be thinking of a side grade. You know, maybe the numbers aren't correct, but, you know, this is what I'm thinking of. So let me know what you guys think about that as well. The other buff that could be very simple that I think would be fun is him climbing. Him just climbing faster or climbing farther. Really, he climbs faster, which is why he can get up higher than other characters. He climbs faster in that initial part, but I'd love him to be able to reach that. I'd love him to be able to reach the top of this building right here. And I don't think it's too much of a buff, but I think it really helps in his lore. It helps with the style of character he is. And the other version is maybe instead of the shadows, maybe you reduce the shadow health, but maybe they can melee. This is one thing I've always thought about Revenant. Every time you're in a shadow Revenant thing, you can melee and do a ton of damage, like 50 damage. High risk, high reward. Could mean that, yo, if you can't kill the shadows before they can get to you and melee you, you could be taking some serious damage. But if you do, they have less health and they're not as dangerous, right? That's one way to look at the Revenant ability. Or maybe you can only use one gun in your Revenant ability. Things like that I think could be interesting. But I love the Shadow Revenant idea with the punching. I wanted that. Okay, let's move on to Watson. I'm gonna be a little quick on Watson because I think Watson has been nerfed too much. She's been changed a lot. And she's just going to be a good character. I mean, her kit is just too good. It's too good. You can defend buildings really well. She is the defensive Caustic, right? Caustic, whereas his defense is more of an offensive approach, Watson is pure defense. And she's not going to throw a pylon at you and do damage like a Caustic canister, gas canister could do. She's going to hold the building down. If you walk through it, you're going to take damage, be slowed, and she's going to be able to finish you off. What I'd like to see from her, if anything, is really not a touch to her pylon, not a touch to her perimeter, and to her Spark of Genius, which I like how that synergizes, and not really a low-profile touch. She's still played in competitive all the time. She's still really good. She does need this kind of, you know, balancing point, and you could maybe even increase it, to be honest. But I'd like to see maybe if you want to nerf her, just maybe less nodes. Instead of 12, maybe 10. That's what I would do. If you want to just get a little nerf on Watson, maybe she's still overperforming numbers-wise. Just reduce the amount of you know, pylon she can have, and slowly just kind of make sure that the utility of her kit isn't overbearing, right? That's kind of what I would look at for her. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. Octane. Now this one I think could be really fun. Octane got the awesome double jump addition to his jump pads, and this has been really fun to play around with, to enjoy. I mean, I think you guys have all liked it. I feel like double jump has been a huge impact for him. So I'm going to focus on the jump pad and his stem, because I think these are the two things important. For Octane, when he uses his stem, he actually takes away quite a bit of health. Although he's got more speed now, and he increases his walk speed as well, and he also gets a reduction to slows, he just takes away quite a bit of health. It's 10 health, and, you know, look at the impact of this. Yes, I'm running straight away. I love it. I've got it. But in the middle of a fight, maybe I'm still fighting. I want to, like, now I'm in the fight. I've gotten to the position. I want to use it while I'm strafing with somebody, you know, and then, oh, man, maybe things are bad, right? I'm the running fast character. Things are bad. I want to get out of dodge now, and look at this. But look at how much health I've already taken away from myself. I kind of think that Octane doesn't bring enough to the table to have such a negative penalty for doing the thing that he's supposed to be good at better than anybody else, which is just running fast. Like, that's too much of a penalty. So for me, I would cut it down from 10 to 5. Kind of how I would buff him. The other cool way you could do it is you could also, everyone now gets a double jump when you use Octane, right? You'd jump another time. What if Octane can jump a third? I mean, it's kind of cool that everyone gets a double jump, but what does Octane get that makes him special? I mean, you know, he can get the stem off of it, go a little farther, but I think it'd be cool if he himself could get a triple jump off of his jump pad. I don't know. I think it'd be fun, and maybe you could try it in like a cool limited time mode where it's an Octane focused thing, and, you know, everyone can triple jump on a jump pad, right? And you try it out, and it's like, oh, this is really fun, this is really effective, this would be really great with Octane's kit base, and it's a way we can buff him and make fans feel like it's fun. Again, these would be like fun kits, in my opinion. So I really, really do like that. All right, let me know what you guys think about that one. Next up, it's Mirage. We've only got actually a few more. We got a few more. All right, this is good. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the video. All right, we've got Mirage, and he's got his new heirloom, which I do enjoy. I think it's pretty cool. And Mirage, I think, is in a great spot. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on him because I actually like where he is. But my suggestions for a buff would be something like increasing the ability for him to have a second decoy so that you don't have to get rid of the only decoy that you have. If you want more base utility on these decoys, you could have someone in here, and then you could, you know, maybe just throw somebody there, and that guy stays there. Maybe he's got 10 seconds before he dies, but you can have 2 up at a time. You always take control of the second decoy. My idea as well. The other thing that I think could be cool is maybe utilizing a little bit of a speed boost the second that he goes into his ultimate. Now, his ultimate's fantastic. You go invisible for a second, but then you get out of it. It'd be nice to get like a 30% movement speed boost right when you go in. That way, you know, like, the guy's still there. I know you're being tricky, but be tricky and a little bit like safer, right? I think that's one of the things that, to me, Mirage could use. Be a nice little buff, quality of life. Say, hey, Mirage is still somebody that we want to be played at a higher level. We still want to support him with more tools. But again, you know, he brings such a unique kit. It's hard to find the perfect role for him. What would he be? A support? He's really an individual legend. And so if you really want to buff him for high level, you have to bring more to a team. And that's hard to do. I mean, he's very about himself. You love it. You love him for it, and maybe in high level you hate him for it, right? All right. I'm gonna move on to Caustic. Now, Caustic, I just want you guys to look at this. Here's I was amazed. Look at, first of all, look at this gas canister. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 seconds at the least. That could have been more that canister lasts. That's a long time. Now, I want you to look at this gas canister now. Because remember, he's the more offensive version of Wattson. Remember that, right? I mean, from a defensive, he's a defensive offensive version of Wattson. Now watch this.
Gas cloud deployed.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 20 seconds that cloud lasts. Now, my biggest complaint about Caustic is not that he has this gas that's annoying to walk into. It's not that his teammates can go into the gas. It's that when I play Caustic, when he throws his gas stuff, I'm like, dude, this is forever. It's just unfun. Everything about Apex Legends is super fast, super cool, a very high engagement. This is like, dude, I just gotta like, I feel like I'm waiting for the bus. I feel like I'm waiting for like my spot in line at like a popular restaurant. It's like I'm waiting for like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just feel like I'm waiting for things to happen. And to me, if I would nerf Caustic, I would keep his abilities the way they are. I would just make them end a little sooner, because I think that allows him a little too much defensiveness to compete with Wattson and holding down a building. His way of behaving as a character is different, and I think this should be used to say, I have a high risk, and I also cannot do everything that a Wattson might be able to do, which is hold down a building with much more success and much more time, where it's infinite, you know, but you can't push me. But then I also can't throw a gas canister out at you and push you out of your spot, right, for 13 seconds in a row. Anyways, that's my opinion. I think the Caustic ultimate can go down to 15 seconds. I think the gas canisters could go down to 10 seconds. I think it'd be a nice quality of life change. That's how I would nerf him. Anyways. Okay, let's move on to Loba. Loba is a character that really has an opportunity to be successful in this game, but I just don't know if she's going to get there. And it has nothing to do with the design of the character. It just has to do with the roles and the way Apex is played. At a higher level, you have these kind of roles where people want me to make a video on this, but typically what you'll see is the way it's happened is more of like an entry where you'll see maybe a Wraith jump in and she'll start a fight, she'll scout, she'll do something, but then she's got to get out, right? She takes damage, and then the other teammates are there. There's one teammate who might have already been near that fight, who might be like a Pathfinder kind of character, who might be more of like a, shoot, if you're really aggressive, you might have a Bloodhound as well, who was first before the Wraith. But if you're maybe a little bit more patient, you might have like a Gibraltar, right? Secondary character, he's now in the fight, he's kind of holding down a corner, he throws his shield, blah, 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 and now you've got Wattson holding down the building you were at before you started scouting. So you have this more backline, midline support where you can blend in and there, and almost like a forward in football, soccer, right? Loba has the potential to be both the midline and the forward, but she's none of them right now. She has supportive tools that don't really match Gibraltar with her black market boutique and her eye for quality, which is really individual. Although, yes, there's an ability to use it. Like, hey, there's a purple shield over there, but, you know, we're all looking for that gear ourselves, right? I think Burglar's best friend is where I would change her, and I think this could allow her to maybe be more of an entry to compete with Wraith, because really we don't see anyone compete with Wraith in that ability to scout, to get in and get out and be safe doing it. This is where she needs to have a change. Look at it. I'm shootable right now, right? I love the escape of potential. This is how far Wraith could have gotten, but I am vulnerable for way longer than Wraith is, and to me, you could either make the throw speed faster, or you could, I don't know. I think making the throw speed faster is the answer to me personally, because I want to spend less time when I throw this thing vulnerable, so that if I do take a bad fight, man, and I'm losing this, right? I'm losing this. Boom. Now I'm safe. Now, right? I'm safe and I'm out of dodge. Again, you can get to high ground. There's other things that make this ability powerful. I don't mind the animation at the end, so that if you just throw it safely and you think you're safe and you're like, oh, you run into another enemy, he takes you down. I love that. Risk reward should be a part of this, but I think unless she can get out faster, she's never going to be a safe character to take the front line of a fight. And that's what I think about Loba. That's what I would love to see for her in Season 6. Maybe some adjustment to that throw speed. Okay, Lifeline. Let's talk about Lifeline. I think Lifeline is one of the better characters in the game right now. I just really love her, and I think, you know, she hasn't made her spot in the competitive, and so these thoughts of mine are going to be maybe helping to buff her. Lifeline, I think, got a great change through allowing you to use your Drone of Compassion and also to be able to heal and res teammates and then just keep fighting around your shield. You know, you're not seeing it here because I can't show you, but just look it up. You'll see it. It's an amazing thing that she brings to the table. The thing, though, is that she lost her most individual and I think dual heavy benefit, which is the fact that she gets 25% extra speed on healing and basically syringes and things like that. Having no ability to have that anymore, I think actually almost just kept her in the same spot, especially high level competitive, even though it's a really powerful support skill that she's got. Shifting her into a support is fine, but I think now looking at it, I feel like that because she's lost that extra passive, she's actually probably, from a win percentage standpoint in duel encounters, probably gone down. Because she just lost something in a duel. She's better in a team environment, but she lost something in a duel and just a normal fight. So I would imagine that she's actually gone down in percentage there. And she was a very well-performing character so far. So I understand that maybe that was their goal. But if that wasn't their goal and they wanted to kind of keep her where she was at, like a side grade, just make her different, I think you could probably add maybe a reduced version of the 25% and make it maybe 15% as far as using shield cells and things like that. Kind of what you did to Gibraltar, where now instead of 25% in his dome shield, you get 15% as far as healing items in there, down from the 25. I don't think she needs to lose it. The other thing that could be a really cool buff is to help an individual Lifeline as well, just to allow her to have this ability to where when she throws her Drone of Compassion and maybe she's fighting, you know, someone knocks her right here, boom, she's knocked, but the drone's out. Drone starts healing her, starts reviving her. That person then has to push the Lifeline. I like that. I think that gives Lifeline even more presence in duels and more presence in team fights. And of course, if you're the last one standing, that's like a gold knockdown shield. So I think you should die instantly unless you do have a gold knockdown shield. But if you are not the last one standing and your teammates are still fighting, I think that's totally fine to do. I really like that change, and I think that'd be really cool to see in the game. All right, we've got two more. Just two. Can you believe it? We've gone through all of these. This has been a great video to make. I'm glad you guys have been staying with me on this. I put thought into these, so I want to say all the things I wrote about. So hopefully you guys appreciate that and supporting the length. You know, I know it's a little longer. But why not? What else are we doing, huh? We're all stuck at home anyways, right? You know, okay. Anyways, so more damage to Bangalore's ult. I think Bangalore has everything going for her. She has no low profile, so she's a very medium hitbox legend, very much like Mirage. Smoke Launcher is a great ability. It always has been. Works amazing with a digital threat. Double Time is a wonderful passive. It's been one of the strongest from the beginning. Rolling Thunder is really where she loses her thunder, so to speak, to be honest. In my opinion, Rolling Thunder is one of those things that is just awkward for Bangalore. And the fact that when you use it, it takes so long to truly, you know, to kind of like truly manifest itself is one of those things to where you just don't feel like it matters much. It doesn't feel like it's a natural part of her kit. Now, it's great at buying time, But because Bangalore's in this middle ground of being offensive and defensive and more of like an all-around type like Mario character, I think it'd be cool to add a little bit more offense to her. I think her kit lends her to be a little more, you know, offensive with something. And I think if it's not going to be her smoke, if it's not going to be her passive, I think it should be her ult. And I think you could basically have this ult, when you throw it, land a little faster.
Heads down. Airstrike danger
You know,
close.
you see that timing of that? I think now the deployment could just be a little faster. You know, see, look at all this time in between the damage and the deployment, and it's a long time. You have to be in such a bad spot to utilize it. So again, it's like Gibraltar. Satisfying when you work it, but just really not a huge part of damage you can count on, which I think that's unfortunate for a character who has a kind of like a zoning damage ult. I feel like you should be able to get more damage if you throw it in a good spot, a little bit more effective. And maybe it's not as far, but maybe it's quicker, right? I think that would be really fun for her. Again, I love the Digi threat combo. It's one of the stronger combos in my opinion. They can't see you, you can see them. It just really adds a huge new flavor and way to play her whenever you pick that up and you find the right weapon with it. So big fan of that, and I love Bangalore as well. So I'd love to see these changes. The other thing you could maybe do is that when someone does get hit by her ult, if you don't want to change the speed or things like that, give her more of a benefit when the hits do happen. So since it's rare, maybe she gets a speed boost. Maybe she reloads her smoke. Maybe she's used 2 smokes, right? She has 26 seconds. Maybe it resets the cooldown of her smoke if anyone gets hit in the in her ultimate. I mean, that's pretty cool. Anyways, gives you a little bit more reward for more of a challenging thing if you want to keep it challenging and her numbers are still pretty good. All right, that's my idea on her. Last but not least, Bloodhound. Bloodhound, Eye of the Allfather, Tracker, Beast of the Hunt. I mean, these are fantastic abilities. We've seen Complexity finally win some tournaments this weekend, and you know, I wasn't a part of that one to cast. I'll be back for the next one, I believe. But what I thought was so fantastic is to finally see that kind of aggressive play pay off, and you know, the way you can see these characters really taking a manifestation of their unique approach to playing with their kit. And with Bloodhound, it's about being aggressive. And if you can get that information and be aggressive and keep that pace, this is what this character is all about. The one thing I'd change to buff this character even more is the mini game with their ult. Now, when you have an ult like Bloodhounds, which has a special passive to it that was added, knockdowns extend the duration. I would love to see the knockdowns extend the duration even farther. So that means that when you get a knockdown in your ultimate, instead of getting 5 seconds added for each knockdown, you get 10 seconds added. Now, maybe you're looking at the way Complexity is playing and saying, oh, they don't need any help. Or maybe you're looking at Bloodhound and saying, Bloodhound is a character I'd love to see more teams utilizing. Or maybe you just don't see a lot of your favorite creators maining Bloodhound. I don't know really any main creators in this game that are actively only playing Bloodhound the way that they actively play a lot of other legends. And I love Bloodhound, but I just haven't made that the case. What I would love to try to showcase, and again, if I miss you and you do main Bloodhound, I'm sorry, you know, it's no offense. I would love to see these downs, right? Add 10 seconds. And what I think could be amazing about that is just the fact that you have an ability that can be almost its own mini game for you and your teammates, right? And when you have that mini game almost like, I think, going, it gives you an element of, wow, this player is amazing. This player is doing something I haven't seen before. Oh my god, he got a squad wipe, and thus he gets another ult. Because this ult is about 35 seconds. So when you get a squad wipe, you're essentially getting an ult back. And I feel like if you kill 3 people, that's just enough reward. And if you can keep it going, it can be one of the most momentous, most fun things to look at. Just like a Wraith popping up with the right abilities and getting out of dodge and coming back in and throwing the kunai everywhere, etc., etc. So those are my changes I'd make for Season 6 for all of the legends. If you have any thoughts about that, let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like on the video and subscribe to stay tuned for more Raynday Gaming. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see you all next time.